Hey everybody, we are here in Scranton, Pennsylvania, or at least the vicinity of Scranton, Pennsylvania. We'll be taking a look, a quick jaunt down to the Lackawanna Mine in McDade Park, seeing what went on in the mine, what is going on underneath the ground in this coal mine. And here's the entrance to the coal mine tour now. We're gonna explore some coal mine. It's $10 for adults, $5.50 for seniors, and $7.50 for kids. We'll be taking a tour of the Lackawanna Mine, coal mine. And the entry area here, they got some pictures of what it was like to work in the mines. We're gonna take a quick tour of the coal mine and see what's going on. And a little safety note, if you are a wheelchair, they can accommodate wheelchairs, but if you're going to need to get out of the wheelchair to board. Feeling pretty snazzy in my mine hat here. A 13,000-pound black diamond, solid chunk of pure anthracite coal. Paid a single-family home for an entire year. That's pretty amazing. Look around the yard here. We've got the dynamite magazine and cap house. These are stored above ground in separate containers made of steel lined to prevent sparks. Can't really read this too well, other than it's firefighting equipment that would have been used in the mine. You can see they still got some of the carts on some track here that peels off of the main tracks. And we're gonna be boarding right up here to ride the mine car down the rails and into the mine. Hoisting the car, cable pulling the mine car back up and getting ready for boarding for the next group to head down. Here comes our ride into the mine. It's gonna be a tight fit in the air. Not much room in the mine car.
Oh, wait, invisible. Oh God, this is so...
Are you scared?
Cold. I'm already cold.
Down in the depths of the mine. There's no turning back now.
There's no earthly way of knowing
He's singing.
which direction we are going.
You okay? Your shoes okay? You see how cold it is now?
We did our mine ride, and now we are going to start exploring some mine. Stay on the path, stay on the path. We are now 250 feet underground, 1,300 feet down the slope. Just telling us a little bit about the mine. These pillars here don't support the mine. They more or less just are a warning if the roof starts to slope down.
Nope, I'm going back.
Then you'll know if the roof is collapsing and you got to get out of here. So this is the column down to the lower levels. And on the opposite side, we've got the way up to the higher columns and higher areas of the mine.
Now this goes up about 250 feet, around the length of a football field to the gangway above us. Those black squares, which I pointed out on the board, coal pillars, if you see where my light is shining, that there is a solid pillar of coal left in and necessary to support the roofs and the floors. There are 3 more directly above it, 3 more directly below it. This mine closed in 1966, as did all the other mines in the Scranton area. There are no more working mines in this area. Just right now, very little demand for this type of coal. This anthracite coal probably is the biggest reason. Now remember when it was a working mine, they had no light strung out. It was pitch dark down here. You couldn't see your hands in front of you.
Bones for the mines, some equipment for sending the coal into the electric mules. This looks like a dangerous way to go.
That was a very explosive gas, very light, colorless, odorless gas. You couldn't see it or smell it, yet very explosive. Near the floor, another type of gas, carbon dioxide gas. Miners called it black damp. That was a very nauseous gas, can make you very sick, containing very little oxygen or air. You couldn't lay on that for any length of time, chances are you would suffocate. Now in the 1800s, the way they would check for these gases, if you look up on this prop, you see a little cage. They use canaries because they breathe about 200 times faster than the human. The gas would affect them before it would a human. But in the late 1800s, in around 1899, in Wales, somebody invented what's called a Davy safety lantern. Sealed lantern, little flame in the bottom. This would not cause an explosion.
Dynamite in the bored holes to blow some of the coal loose. And we just had a little coal blow up. Not really, but it sounded like it. This coaster back here doing her coal work. And another walk down the tunnel. So I got some original rails. There we go. Made the first impact with the roof with my helmet.
It's early 1900s. They had no child protection laws protecting children from working underground. Children started working underground here at the age of 10 years old. They continued to work their way up until they became miners, provided they lived that long. Many disasters in these mines, many of these children lost their lives. In 1900, 20% of the workforce underground were children, 16 years of age and younger. Here you can see a 15-year-old boy called the mule boy or the mule driver. He was paid 13 cents an hour. They worked 12 hours a day, 5, sometimes 6 days a week. They started their shift 6 in the morning. They came underground when it was dark. They went up at 6 o'clock at night, it was dark.
We're walking around here. This is actually a fault. Been opened up many years ago by a volcano or earthquake or something, and so this has been here a long time. Natural fault up to the top, or at least part way up. Learn a lot about the mines, and about a half of a lifetime. Lose about half a lifetime due to the coal dust and the bad conditions. And he's just saying, same with the mules. Their lifespan would be reduced to about half. And we're walking along to different sections of the mine and learn a little bit about how things work.
You see chalk marks all through the mine. Since this mine opened in 1985, this mine is inspected every morning before any tours come down. They wouldn't mark it anywhere, so you'll see a lot of chalk marks, but I guess they ran out of room, so they mark it now. They'll put the date down and who the mine inspector was initially. Okay, this little shanty you see here was usually called a pegboard shanty. You can see the pegboard fastened on the wall with the miners' names listed. You can see pegs alongside their name. That's the way they kept track of the miners when they went further into work. Okay, not all of the miners were as fortunate as we've seen back in the high coal area. Maybe if they got on the wrong side of their boss or foreman, he placed them in what they called monkey holes or monkey veins. As you can see wide, this opening here is only about 3 foot high. Some of these openings only 2 foot high. So the way they spent their 12-hour days, 5, 6 days a week, mostly on their hands and their knees, possibly on their backs. You can see the miner there on the left side, sort of crouched down on his back. Over here on the far right side, you can see him sliding around on his stomach. Absolutely no room to stand up. But what you're looking at here once was a solid vein of coal mined up many years ago.
Go through the door.
Okay, this room here is what they called an airlock chamber. Now they had to control the airflow in certain gangways where they had their exhaust fans. You can hear the noise on the other side of the door, nothing more than an exhaust fan which is sitting up there on the surface. But if this gangway were left open, that exhaust fan would pull the air through here, possibly pulling some methane gas or explosive gases into other chambers. So they had to control that airflow. Usually they placed heavy barnwood type doors across the gangways. Placed a young fellow in here called a nipper boy. His age, 10 years old. He was paid 11 cents an hour. Sat down here in the dark, 12 hours a day, 5, sometimes 6 days a week. His only job, listening for the cars rumbling down the tracks. As he heard them quickly get up, open those heavy wooden doors, let the cars pass through, then close the doors again. He was only equipped with a coal oil lamp.
Little room here in this next section. Second opening, 250 feet to the surface.
I don't know if you happen to notice the red sign which was fastened on his prop back here. This here's the second opening, also another exit out, emergency exit out. This here is the air shaft. You can hear that fan which is directly above us, about 250 feet on the surface. This is where all this air is being pulled and taken up. Now this air shaft also serves another purpose. If you can see this round rusty pipe, located close by that fan on the surface, maybe about 10 yards away.
And that just said that's probably where Santa gets the coal to stuff these stockings with if you're bad. We don't get any coal. And as we're passing back by, this is the hoist to go back up. If there was an emergency you needed to escape, go up the ventilation. That's the way out. Yeah, passing by a coal car. We passed by this little earlier where they would keep track of who was pegged in and pegged out and who was working. I think we're coming up to the latter stage of the tour. It's pretty interesting. They have some of the ceiling marked in orange, showing you're running up against it, but a couple of us have smacked their heads a couple times. That's why we wear the hard hats. This way out. It's ready to take the return trip to the surface. All right, so we just got done with the mine tour. What'd you think?
It was so cold.
It was definitely chilly down there. Nice breeze blowing through. That means with fresh air, we weren't going to get killed with methane gas.
It's a good thing.
But that was fun.
Yeah.
That was a fun tour. Went with our friends. You know who you are. And it was a good time. It was an interesting tour. It was fun. It was well worth the excursion in the foothills of Scranton, Pennsylvania to check out one of the old mines. And sounds like another tour is getting ready to go underway. We better get out of here.
Yeah.
Before we get dragged down into the mines again. Well, thanks for joining us. Watch, like, subscribe, comment, tell your friends. And remember, kids, have a good time all the time.